How many of you are aware of where your rib cage is in comparison, for example, to your pelvic bowl? In relationship to your head, do you know where your rib cage is? Can you sense whether there's any part of your rib cage that might be out of alignment with the rest of it? Does it help you to move your rib cage to see where that might be? Do you know how to find your rib cage to move that instead of your hips? Most people, when I invite them to move their rib cage, actually end up moving their hips because they don't know how to find the difference between where their hips are and where their ribs are. They can't sense where their ribs are, and so they have trouble moving their ribs separately from the rest of their body. These techniques can help people just even, come in contact with body sensation that they may not know how to come in contact with. And particularly people who have suffered trauma. If somebody has experienced PTSD from physical situations that have occurred, they probably have done their best to actually separate their consciousness from their body because there has been pain associated or trauma associated with something that happened in their body. Many people are sufferers of PTSD. And so it's very common that there's this disconnect between their thinking consciousness and what's actually happening inside their body. Some part of themselves has severed that connection because it's too painful. Inviting people to come back into awareness and connection, and actually to, in doing so, find all the places where it feels wonderful in the body. Just reminding people that connection with the body doesn't have to always be a matter of pain, of discomfort, of, that there are many, many wonderful experiences that we can have in the body. And during our movement practices, they can be doing things that feel so good, and helping them to compare how they feel in their body before the movement practice versus after their movement practice can encourage people to want to reconnect with body sensation because it can be wonderful.
One last note for myself is that I find what is comfortable, what feels good in this movement, what feels good when I'm sitting down, what feels good when I'm standing. I'm always looking at that, not, oh, don't do that. I don't do the opposite, right? I try to find the positive in it. We're going to give it a little bit of time afterwards if you have questions, but I did want to share our upcoming moments because we've run out of time. As Renee said, our theme this month is protecting weekend warriors. And today was this one. Next week, we have Follow the Leader movement versus Body Sense, Body Do. That's at 8 o'clock on Wednesday.
And that applies not only to how we teach classes, but to how we take classes.
Getting past the No Pain, No Gain on January 29th at 8. And then the last in the series is Blame, Fame, and Shame into Glory on February 5th at 8. Those are all free for you. I also wanted to share with you.
We're going to be having
a discovery coaching workshop on February 12th from 8 to 9:30. And then we also have our training level 1, the big one, coming up from March 25th to May 30th from 8 to 10 on Wednesdays, and then your choice 8 to 9 on a Thursday or Friday.
Right. So we'll stay on for a few minutes for anybody who'd like to have any further conversation. We're open, and thank you all for attending. Really appreciate your attendance, and thanks for everybody's input. I'm sorry we didn't have time for yours, Dustin, and if you want to stay on now, that's great.
The hour-and-a-half workshop, is that more for coaches or instructors or anybody? basically?
It's more for instructors and trainers of movement.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
We are developing things for the non-instructor movement as well, but that's my big thing. I can't wait to do that one.
I look forward to something like that, not as an instructor, but as a person that wants to grow in mindfulness. Would be really awesome, wonderful to take.
Great, Kim. Thank you so much for that feedback.
It was valuable to have you here today.
Thank you.
If it was valuable for you, I'd encourage you to come to the next Free30s. I think it will be similarly valuable.
Right. Yeah, I plan on doing that. And I just want to thank you guys for doing it online. Being on the Big Island, sometimes we miss the in-person things. So anything online really helps us. And I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Good, thanks. Thank you, Dustin. Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would say in regards to this topic of my building is deciding to do an alarm check. Hold on.
So John,
Anybody else wanted to share anything while we're waiting?
Yeah. Greg, I'm thinking it would be interesting to know how you might teach people once they have become aware of all these different body parts as they go through them, what they do with the information they get about particular body parts that either feel great, the doing treatment, or the ones that they notice are particularly sensitive.
Encouraging people to have a more regular practice with that. And so the parts that are sensitive or tender, over a period of time, if they work regularly with it, it'll transform in certain ways and be more easily accessible and maybe not as tender or sensitive. And then also incorporating it with the movement of the Tai Chi would be a way to get through some of the tender spots and reinforce the good feelings in different spots as well. Yeah. It's kind of combination going on there.
Good. Dustin, how is your building doing?
It passed. So thanks for sharing that, Doctor. It's really, really insightful. It's interesting when it comes to music and whether that is created through the use of a external object, such as an instrument, or an internal.
Oops, we lost him. Oh no, he was saying something so interesting. Maybe he'll jump back on. I wonder whether he lost his internet connection with his
Probably.
building.
Probably. I think I know where he was going with that. The external with the instrument or the internal, is that coming from within us on the body that plays it or promotes it? Oh, he's back. Maybe he's gonna discount everything I just said.
Man, the universe is just trying to get me to shut up today, I think. It is telling me to listen today.
No, we want to hear the end. Where they're using
because I filled it in, but I might be wrong. Keep going.
So what I was saying is whether we are creating music or sound through an external object such as an instrument or using our internal instrument, which would be our voice box, our lungs, our vocal cords, down to the diaphragm, our mouth. Having a really high awareness to body sensitivity and body sensation is extremely essential in prevention of injury, prevention of hurting the body, prevention of straining certain parts of our body. Once, for example, our vocal cords are strained, you actually can't continue singing and absolutely should not. Paying attention to body sensation, just a little, when you feel a little bit of dryness, perhaps in the throat, or a little bit of strain, or let's say you've been, doing a lot of belting notes and you're starting to feel a little bit of tension in the upper stomach, in the diaphragm, you want to take a break and allow the body to rest and reset. It's really common. When we did the training, I found some statistics, but I think it's like 97 or 98% of vocalists and musicians will get injured during practice or preparation for an upcoming performance. It's kind of accepted in the music industry that you're going to lose your voice. I'm going to strain my voice. I'm going to, develop something. And it's just that lack of awareness and knowledge to pay attention to the body. Give yourself rest, give the throat time to recover, and then continue in a mindful way, being aware of body sensation really helps with longevity. And just to wrap up, there were 3 people that I used to sing with that we eventually sang professionally. And they went so hard on their own without mindfulness that they permanently damaged their voices to where none of them do music anymore. 2 of those ladies, their voice actually went down several octaves to where when they talk, they have to talk in a lower hoarser tone, because just so much abuse without being mindful and listening to the body. They're, permanently put damage on their vocal cords. So yeah, very essential.
I love that you're relating that to something that usually people don't associate with movement or the body. And that can extend to violinists, all of those people, their shoulders, their arms. Something that comes up in the academy quite a bit with movement is the professional and performance-based. A lot of injury occurs when you're in the Olympics or doing a performance on stage because people push. And I think we have another topic for our future series, performance-based stuff. The academy can help with that performance. Where do we draw the line for injury when you're performing? Competing or performing, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I've seen it happen with a lot of people, friends included. People think if I just take more time to exercise, like maybe 3 hours of walking or an hour of bicycling, the more time I take, that means that it's going to give me more benefit. I think that's really a bad way to approach things. The awareness that you're speaking of is much more important than just putting in more time. It's kind of like quality time is exercise with awareness versus just doing the exercise to kind of get your time put in and feel like, okay, well, that should give me some benefit to my health. I think that's a erroneous assumption.
Yeah, you're bringing up a point that's very related to this phrase of no pain, no gain. I've got to do it until it hurts or I'm not doing it enough.
Yeah.
And what you're bringing up, though, is the blanket statement, more is better.
Yeah,
Let's do it more. It's going to be better.
Right, exactly.
And that's without that body awareness. If we're
Mhm.
not gauging according to
Right.
what's going on in the body as we do it, we're going to run into trouble.
Right.
And I would assume that the ones that are very successful and don't get injured are the ones that are communicating with their body on a very high level.
Oh, of course.
You've got to be there.
And
And the question is, are you sacrificing your body for that? That's another term we have at the academy, like sacrificing your body. No, don't do it.
Well, we'll have a chance to talk about some of these very topics in future Free30 conversations. So
Thank you, everyone.
wonderful to have all
Yay.